Hello and welcome everybody to the third instalment of the 2022 Mystery Blanket Club. We are about to start on the May pattern, so that's the third instalment out of 10 for this year's club. The past month has just gone so quickly, it's flown by, and here I am again, ready to talk to you all about the news about the club this month and to introduce you to the patterns that you're going to be knitting over the next 4 weeks. I want to begin by thanking all of you for responding to our survey about the Rowan Cash Soft Merino yarn. We were made aware that there were some quality issues with the yarn, and we immediately then spoke to Rowan, who have been over the past few weeks in the process of finding out what was the problem. The yarn is made in Italy. It's a father and son who own the spinners, and I actually met them many years ago now when I was a design consultant for Rowan, and they came to the Rowan mill to one of our annual general meetings, and that was a long time ago. So Rowan have been working with this particular spinner for many years. They have a very good relationship with this spinner, and over the years they have made a lot of yarn for Rowan. Rowan issued a statement, an official statement about the yarn, which we sent to you recently in an email. There was a mention of the problems being caused by COVID. So I'm just going to expand on that a little bit more, as I was told a little bit more information than they put in the statement. So the spinner was hit very severely by COVID, and consequently many of the staff were off sick, and this meant that they had to move people around within the factory, and there were people doing jobs that they weren't used to or weren't specialised in, and therefore in the department where the yarn was actually being spun, when there were breakages and splicing needed to be done, which is where the yarns are joined together, at times the people there weren't used to that department and weren't familiar with those processes, and therefore that's where all the problems stemmed from. Rowan is a premium brand, and they obviously took all these comments very seriously. They have spoken to the spinner and addressed the problems, and going forward hopefully those problems will be resolved. But I know how frustrating it's been for you. It's incredibly frustrating when you're knitting and the yarn breaks or snaps, or you have irregularities in it. But we've addressed it. Hopefully we can put this behind us now, and we can move on with the project. Rowan have offered everybody in the club, all 600 members, a free gift, and the free gift that you will be receiving is a fabric Rowan project bag. This will be included in your parcel too, which we will be sending out to you very shortly. So let's move on now and take a look at what you are going to be knitting this month. There are 4 squares to knit. They are squares 37 and 38 called Dapper. Now there's 2 options for this first square. This is 2 squares that are going to be knitted as one panel, which is the same as what you did for squares 1 and 2 back in the very first mail out in March. You have option 1 and option 2. Now, just as a reminder about how the options work, I give you a second option if colour work is involved, and by colour work I mean Fair Isle or Intarsia. So if this is a technique that you think, oh, I'm not really sure about this, I'd rather knit something a little bit easier, then you have option 2 on offer to you. You may, however, think that if you haven't tried Fair Isle before, because squares 37 and 38 have Fair Isle in them. If you haven't tried Fair Isle before, it is actually a really good opportunity to give the technique a go. So, leave that decision up to you. You can take a look at the pattern, see which one you prefer to do. It won't make any difference to the overall design. You'll still get a lovely blanket at the end of it. It will just look slightly different if you go for the different option. The next square is another panel, actually. It's 43 and 44, and this is Razzle, Dazzle, Encore, and this is another panel. It's very similar to squares 1 and 2, but the colourway is slightly changed, so that's one which will be going over a little bit of what you've knitted previously, so that should be fairly easy knit for most of you. And finally, it's square 45, which is called Zigzags. Now, Zigzags has twisted stitches, and they twist to the left and to the right. You have it in the format of a chart and a worded pattern, so you can follow whichever you prefer for that. They both have the same result, they both knit up the same, but there's an option. It uses the same technique as was used with diamonds, which I think was in the first instalment back in March. It's that same technique, and you will be able to find a video technique, I think it's from April, the April blog, to help you with that if you need a reminder. So they are the squares to knit. 4 squares, or 2 panels and 1 separate square, and hopefully you'll enjoy knitting those up this month. So this month I have 5 technical videos to help you with these squares. Some of the techniques are covered in previous blogs, so do refer back to them if you do need assistance with them. The new techniques that I'm covering are as follows. I was asked how to pick up stitches along the cast off edge to create the next square if you're knitting in strips. So the first video focuses on this technique and shows you exactly how to do that. There is a video to help you with squares 37 and 38. This is for both options, and it's the, you can see here, it's the decorative slip stitch row here. It's a multicoloured row. Okay. That's on page 6 of your mail out for option 1. It's in both options. So I show you how to knit that. I also show you with this same square, there's quite a few techniques for this same square actually. The next technique for this square is showing you how to pick up using a long tail of yarn. Now this is on, I believe it's on row 8 of your mail out. It's for option 1, and it's where you need to use a long tail of yarn to knit a row, and then you transfer the stitches back so you've got the right side facing. All the instructions are there for you. I've titled this video technique as how to pick up stitches, but in the video I'm actually showing you how to knit across using a long tail and then transfer the stitches back. But the idea is the same whether or not you're knitting a row or whether you're picking up stitches with a long tail. So hopefully that will help some of you that may have been wondering how you do that technique. There's a demonstration of the fair old technique. So this is for option 1 of squares 37 and 38. And I show you weaving and stranding in. I think there's a wrong side and a right side row that I demonstrate. I just want to mention that I knit by dropping the needles. So I don't knit continental style. And I do know that a lot of you do knit using the continental method. So if you are a continental knitter, when you watch the video, you will need to be holding the secondary colour, which is nutkin, in your left hand. I'm sure that many of you already are very familiar with the technique. Some of you might just need to brush up, but there will be people out there for who it's new. It's a new technique. If you're looking at how I'm knitting and thinking, I don't knit like that, how do I hold the needles? Hold the needles in the way that you normally hold them, but put the nutkin into your left hand, and then it should all just fall into place and you should be fine with the technique. But any queries, you know where to find me. The final technique that I show is how to knit the decorative beaded loop, and this is on both options for squares 37 and 38. So this is the beaded loop that you can just about see. I'm going to show you option 2 here on page 11. You can just see part of it here and it continues down here. Obviously these squares are joined to each other. They're just shown side by side on that initial page there. So that's a nice little sort of decorative feature of that square, which I hope you'll have fun knitting up. I've had a few queries about bracketed information, and there's been a little bit of confusion, I think, about how to read bracketed information. So I'm just going to refer to the April mailer where I was made aware that there was confusion over the bead threading on page 12. So this is where it says, within a square bracket, 6 shell, 6 pebble. Then there's a rounded bracket within which it says 7 shell, 7 pebble, and then twice. Then the 7 shell, 6 pebble, end of square bracket, 4 times, 6 shell, 6 pebble. So I'm just going to break down how an instruction like that should be read. And this really takes me back to my days at school with maths, because it's like doing all the algebra in maths, where I do remember that there was lots of brackets and figures and numbers and things. So this is very much how you read it, like a mathematical instruction, really. The square bracket at the beginning is 6 shell, 6 pebble, which you thread on. Then you thread on 7 shell, 7 pebble twice. Then you thread on 7 shell, 6 pebble. Then you've got to the end of the bracket, which means that you repeat everything inside the square brackets 4 times in total. And then you thread on 6 shell and 6 pebble. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. It can be quite difficult reading bracketed information if you're not used to it, but you know, it's just read it very carefully, take notice of the brackets and the shapes of the brackets. I use rounded brackets and I use square brackets, and there's a reason for that, because they actually segment down certain bits of information within the instructions. So just be aware of that. And again, if you're not sure, if you've got a query, just ping me a quick message and I can talk to you about it a bit more. If you do need any extra help with your knitting, or you just feel you want to talk to other members, maybe share your thoughts and ideas, as well as the Facebook group, which I mentioned in the previous vlog, there is a fabulous group on Ravelry, which has been set up for many years now. And on there, you will find a very, very helpful bunch of knitters who will be only too happy to give you their advice and their help if you need it. So Ravelry is a fabulous online forum. There's many different things that you can do on there. It's very easy to go back and to look at threads, look at previous conversations, add your comments to the thread. You can show your projects. You can put pictures up of what you've done. So if you haven't actually been into that group before, and you fancy meeting virtually with other knitters, then why not go and join it? It's very, very simple to do, and I'm sure they will all welcome you there with open arms. I tend to stay outside of all the online forums. I do keep an eye on them, and I have other pairs of eyes who do keep an eye on the forums. And if anything starts being said that I should know about, then messages are passed back to me. I do that for, well, 2 reasons really. First reason is that I think that the forums are there for you members to be able to talk very openly and honestly, without me sort of hovering over your shoulder and listening into what you're saying. Second reason is because I literally have not got the time in my life to sit reading through forums and reading all the wonderful comments that I know go on in there and all the lovely conversations. I would love to spend a few hours Even half an hour would be great, but time is so very precious at the moment. I have so much on my workload at the moment. So I leave you just to talk amongst yourselves, say what you want to say, hopefully share some good thoughts, some good advice, and to enjoy these wonderful online forums that we now have, which can be extremely helpful. We are now fairly close to the beginning of the 2022 Mystery Cushion Club. It begins on the 15th of June, so that's really not too far away. If you haven't already signed up, it's very easy to do so. We have a handful of memberships left. I'm not sure exactly how many, but out of the 250, there's I think sort of about 20 or 30 left. So if you haven't bagged your place yet and want to, do go to our website to sign up. As a Mystery Blanket Club member, you do get 10% off the membership, and if you haven't got that discount code, just email Sue or email me and we'll send it straight over to you. And it's easy. You put it into into a box, I think, at checkout, and then you get your discount. It's a very different project to the Mystery Blanket. I'm going to give you a whole new, very different knitting adventure to take yourself on from June onwards. So hopefully you will join me on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and let you get on with knitting your squares. Don't forget to read my written blog as well. There's a lot of information in there and extra things that I haven't mentioned in this talk with you. Check that out before you start. Do remember to take a look at the addendum page just to see if there's anything that's been that we've been made aware of in terms of corrections, because we do list them on there. We are busily preparing the parcels to mail out. We had to wait a little while for some of the yarn to come in, but we are in the process of getting those parcels sorted now, and we are doing our very best to get those parcels to you for the beginning of June. We cannot guarantee with postal services all over the world that parcel getting to you for 1st of June on the dot, but we're going to do our very best to get them to you as soon as we can. So until next month, please enjoy your May squares, and I look forward to seeing you back here in June for the 4th instalment of the 2022 Mystery Blanket Club. Have a lovely May, enjoy the sunshine if you have sunshine, and I'll see you back here in 4 weeks' time. Bye bye.